Hey everybody, welcome to October. It is Inktober, as you already know, so I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of different drawings featuring the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers all month long. Today is number 1, so let's get to it.
And here we go. So we're starting off with the skeleton of the drawing, just sketching out a quick part of the body. I did a lot of in the mirror reference to get this thing going. Of course, I look probably pretty foolish trying to do it, but it's all part of the process. Wanted to make sure I was looking for something that was more like a Bruce Lee kind of extreme angled pose. There's a lot of foreshortening, like the left hand is way out there, so the hand is a lot larger than everything else on the subject. His right hand's a little bit bigger than I think I wanted to, but I think it works just for what this thing is going for. So now I'm working on the helmet, just making sure that the angle is properly done, and then I'll be starting to work the rest of the costumes, like doing the diamonds on his suit. His belt buckle was actually a big pain in the ass to try and figure out, but I think I was able to get it to go. Yeah, and there we go. We're going to the diamonds, making sure those are properly done, and then we're ready to rock.
So with the penciling is now done, it's time to jump on to the inks. I've got a couple of my tools here. I'm going to be actually using one of these kinds of old school pens to work on some of the line work. So let's get to that.
Now, got my pen. I'm starting the inking process. This is a smaller pen that I usually use. I have a larger one, especially to do those outlining areas, just to make sure the line weight is a lot larger than it usually has to be. Just so you know where the light is hitting and where the most darkest of the parts of the body are going to be. Just working on the helmet there. The helmet is actually be a lot of fun just to try to ink it, just so that there's a lot of lights bouncing off of it. Make it look a lot more dynamic instead of just a plain black. There's a little bit of the highlight there on the cusp of the tusk. And yeah, just working on something else. So that's part of the white diamonds that are on there, just to give the muscles some definition. Through, just trying to decide where I want to take it. That's the one thing I'm trying to work from left to right. I want to make sure that I'm not going from right to left, because I don't want to smudge anything on the drawing itself and then just cause a catastrophe. And yeah, if you've never used these pens, they're from Speedball. I have a little bucket or a little tank of ink on the right hand side, just so I can just go in and dip it really quick. As you can see, that by the hand, by the time I got to the hands, it was a little bit faded, so I had to go in a couple times to go do it. I think right now it looks a little bit faded just because of the light is reflecting off of it a lot, so it looks a little bit lighter than it should, but don't worry, it is because of the light that I have on my desk. And this was a lot of just putting my hand in the position and just trying to get the right wrinkles in there to make it look pretty good, look as realistic as I can. Yeah, and this one I took a brush and I just made the line weight a lot thicker, just so we know that this is the part that's the closest to us, closest to the viewer, so we can see it properly. It wasn't the greatest brush. It was just the one I could reach at that point. I usually have a better brush for that kind of inking, but that's just what I had. So here we go. Now I'm starting to work on the suit, just spotting in the blacks just to make sure the darkest parts are in the shadows. And there's a little bit of reflection. This is some of the stuff that I found the most complicated to do in my time drawing, because I just don't know what looks good when it comes to like the big black spots. I found that doing a lot of references with maybe I just smacked the microphone, using the black suit Spider-Man. I found looking at references of that suit usually helps out. But it's taking the parts of the body and just exaggerating it and making it look like there's parts that would shine more than it actually would in real life. If you know anything about going on Pinterest and just going through references on those, those are a lifesaver too. You can always check out for black suits or black leather that actually has those kind of things, or those body suits that some people wear. That usually works really, really well to get those kind of references, to get those kinds of light refracting, especially on a human body. But yeah, I find that, and using the black suit Spider-Man is a really, really good way to do it. So I waited a little bit to make sure everything else was dried before I started on the helmet, just putting on the outline of everything that I know needs to be there, and I'll start working on getting all that light refraction, all those shadows and shades. You see right there, just putting in a little bit of a spot. There's a bit of a halo highlight near the back of the head. I'm gonna probably add a couple little circles here and there just to make it look like the light is actually right there and it's being a big reflection on that spot. Yeah, this part was a lot of fun to be able to do all of those light refractions. And yeah, then we're going on to the visor, which gets really, really crazy. And I think that about does it on the inking.
So now with all the line work all finished and ready to go, I'm going to do one more thing just for the background. I'm going to be using some art masking fluid. We're going to just cover up the body, and then we're going to be putting in a painted background.
Alright, so I skipped recording the actual application of the masking fluid, and I just went right to the tape and the actual applying the paint. It is actually just the ink wash that I've used in the past. It's just diluting it with a little bit of water to give it some of that runniness that you see here, and just giving it a little bit of that right there. I just took some of the paint with water off just to give it kind of a dry brush look. You see some of that is actually just spilling through. It's just me trying to wave it off just a smidge, just so I can get a darker part near the top of the page. Right now I'm just peeling the tape off as careful as I can. This part can be a little bit time consuming. We do have to wait for the masking fluid to dry and for the ink to dry as well. And oh boy. Yeah, this is not gonna go as smoothly as I had hoped it would.
Now we're going mobile. So as you can see, as I peeled off the masking fluid and some of the tape, it actually took some of the paper with it. And a lot of my line work got faded out and pulled off of the page. And yeah, like pretty substantial damage. Like right there, a huge chunk got torn off. There's still a piece there. Yeah, just this sucker is going into the bin. So yeah, so I mean, I guess we're gonna have to try this out one more time, and maybe we won't do that little background thing the way I thought it was going to work. We're gonna have to maybe try a new method. So this sucker is going in the recycling heap, and then I'm going to be starting again with something else, because this is unacceptable. If this were for a client, I would not sell him this, or would make this as a completed piece for them. So yeah, so we're gonna be going back to the drawing board, literally and figuratively, and getting this thing done properly. So instead of boring you guys with having to redraw the entire thing, I went around and just did it anyways, just started it from scratch, And now we're going to jump back in, and you're going to see as I fill in the blacks, and I'm probably going to be skipping the background section of it because I don't want to repeat what just happened.
All right, round 2. So now I'm just filling in the blacks with all the markers that I have in my disposal. I stayed away from the speedball ink and the speedball pen just because I can use my markers just a little bit quicker and easier, and the spotting of the blacks would be a lot more smoother just because there is a lot of intricate little places I gotta get in there, and just sometimes with a brush or with the speedball pen it might get out of hand, literally and figuratively. So yeah, just going through just all the outlines just so that becomes easier if I have to get a thicker brush pen just to get into those larger parts of the black. I did add a little bit more blacks here, especially in the white section, just so that right under the bicep and the armpit, I can just get a little bit darker just because there's no light hitting that. But I simplified around his collarbone and around his traps just to make it a little bit easier to understand where the body parts are. Because, right at the top of the trap near the neck, it just kind of dips into right before you hit the collarbone. So I just want to put a little bit of a spot there where the neck would go right before you hit the collarbone. Now I'm just going right into the helmet. And I just grabbed my Copic brush. I specifically bought just this one. I have so many Copic blacks. I think I have like 4 or 5. Just so that I have enough so I can do these big spots of ink into these particular places. Just for for stuff like this. Just that there's gonna be a lot of blacks. I want to make sure I have enough markers and enough stuff to be able to do the job where I need to. I know this guy was actually drying up a lot, so because there's so much black, so I had to go in a couple times with different markers in order to get this thing done. And here it is.
And here is the finished piece. If you can take a look at that, it's all done, all ready to go. This is number 1 of 5, maybe out of 7. We'll see how the month goes. But if you are interested in picking this guy up, you can go at the end of the month to radpencils.com. I'll be putting these up for sale then. In the meantime, keep watching the channel. Then you can go on to my Instagram. You can go and take a look at my Drawloween, where I'm doing I'm doing one character per episode of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. And and I'll be doing another one sometime later this week of another Power Rangers. So please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk to you then.